house. She's listening in. Donna Maria's talking well about you, I guess. She on the screen. On the screen, she's Joe's laptop. Oh, okay. All right. Joe and Kim haven't showed up yet. Let's see. We had a half day today. Kids went home 11:40. I looked at lesson plans done for one class, but all our accomplishments. That's kind of a big undertaking. How are you all doing?
Didn't see the bus nor the kids today.
Oh, well, it was early.
Well, it's about the time
Well, not everybody does it. Only the high schools.
they're doing that with my daughter-in-law too at Thursday or 2 days a week now. They want them to work half days. If it's not labor and delivery.
Well, this is something the superintendent came up with. He said the high schools are having trouble, which we are. Changing well, I'm not, but I just made the decision this year. I wasn't going to even make a copy because there's no use because the kids at home and the kids at school, they're going to do the same thing. So it's all digital. And I found tools and stuff that I used to use worksheets for. I use, and there's some teachers still doing Scantron stuff. All right. Dad, do this more prayer will start?
Yes. Our Lord, most gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for this privilege we have to come together and to worship you and study your word. May you be with us this day as we study your word, that we might let it sink deep into our hearts. Use it as a crutch to help us through our daily life. We lift the preacher up and to teach us things that will do us the most good. And that's to your Son's name we pray. Amen.
In Matthew 8, Jesus, it begins with just ending his sermon, and he comes off the mountain. That's why we call it the Sermon on the Mount. I'm not sure why we never call it the Sermon on the Mountain, but we did. Well, this guy with leprosy came to him. Wasn't brought to him, came to him. He bowed down and said, Lord, if you're willing, you can make me clean. And so he said, I am willing to be cleansed. As we see, his leprosy was cleansed, and Jesus said to him, see that you tell no one, but go show yourself to the priest and present the offering that Moses commanded as testimony to them. I understand that whole passage except for the first thing that Jesus says in verse 4, see that you tell no one. I don't know why he says that, or why he would ask the guy not to tell anyone.
That's somewhere along the book there, he adds, because of my time.
That's when he changed the water into wine, tells his mother that. And it easily could be that at this point. It could be something along the lines of, you're telling someone would get in the way of me doing what I need to do. But the simple fact is, and I've heard this mentioned and heard this and been waiting, patiently for people who taught this, that knew and been studying, to tell me why. And this isn't the only time he does this, as you pointed out. He does it other times as well. Here at the beginning of his ministry, he does it. And they'll talk about it and say, well, he did it because of this, but then they'll say he did it because of this and offer no proof if that's the reason. They're just guessing. So I'm not going to guess. I don't know why he doesn't want it told. I think there's a few possible reasons, but is there one definitive here? I don't think there is. I don't think that you can look at it and say, somehow something existed at this time that Jesus the situation, it would not be a good idea for this guy to say anything right now. But then perhaps, and this is just a perhaps, it's that he wants it known, but he wants it known after he's fulfilled the law of Moses. Which, if you had leprosy, to be declared clean and able to be declared clean and able to be mixed with people, and you no longer had leprosy, the priest had to examine you, and then you had to present, and I don't know what it was, I can't remember, I did it one time, some sort of sacrifice you had to make as a testimony, or when you were in, when you ended up. So I don't know what it was. It could be that it says as a testimony to them. It meant he just wanted the people there to know and not anybody else, because it wasn't anything that was a secret. It says Matthew makes it plain there's large crowds following him. So maybe he just wants these people to know, and that's it. I don't know. Something existed that Jesus knew and the people there knew, but we don't know what it was. Now, verse 5. And when Jesus entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him, begging him and saying, Lord, my servant is lying paralyzed at home, terribly tormented. Jesus said to him, I will come and heal him. But the centurion replied, Lord, I am not worthy for you to come under my roof, but just say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I also am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. And I say to this one, go, and he goes, and to another one, come, and he comes. And to my slave, do this, and he does it. Now when Jesus heard this, he was amazed, and said to those who were following, truly I say to you, I have not found such great faith with anyone in Israel. And yet I say that many will come from east and west and recline at the table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. For the sons of the kingdom will be thrown out of the outer darkness, in that place where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And Jesus said to the centurion, go, it shall be done for you as you have believed. And the servant was healed at that very moment. Now, this is pretty powerful, and it's going to probably take more than what we have time for tonight. But let's begin. Capernaum is a seaport. This is also Peter's hometown. Okay. There is a centurion. What, if anything, or what do you know about what a centurion is? What do they do for a living?
They're guards.
More than that.
I couldn't think of a good word.
He's a soldier, but he's more than that. He's a soldier of Rome. Now that's a big deal. He is a commander. That word centurion means he's a commander of at least 100. It could be more than that, I think. These guys were no slouches. You didn't get to be a centurion for nothing. Do you know anything about the Roman military? What did they demand of an individual? And what kind of skills did you possess? How did you get to be a commander? Like a centurion?
Prove yourself in battle.
Yes. And if you prove yourself in battle, what does that mean? It means much, much different than today. Because you have to understand exactly the kind of battles that they were in. This was, for a guy to go into battle enough to be recognized as a commander, and for a guy to go into a battle enough to be recognized as a Roman commander, you have to understand what kind of battle that you were in. These guys are all, the Roman military, they are all big, tough, smart, mean. They are vicious in battle because even though Rome did develop some long-range weapons and tactics, nobody just was exclusively that. You had a sword and a shield, and you were expected to use it at all times. Rome had a goal. To enter the Roman military, what age did you have to be? 7. 7 years old. These young boys joined the military at 7, and they grew up learning how to become trained, skillful killers. Their goal was, and it doesn't come out to exact this, but for us to understand, if you imagine 6 square feet of ground, you can put a Roman soldier in the middle of that 6 square feet, and he will hold it no matter what comes. An entire army can come at him, and he should be able to hold that 6 square feet of ground. He can hold it against anybody. Now, is that a reasonable goal? Probably not. He's by himself. But think if you have 100 of these guys together. When they go to work, they pick up a sword and start killing. I mean, to put it mildly as I can. And this is a guy, you don't earn, like in our military, I think you earn things along the way, and you have to do this, that, and the other. You didn't do that. You had to be an individual that could and would lead and be able to lead men. And they had to go and kill in your path, as you went in. And the Roman military didn't believe too much in leading from behind. You led from the front. So, I said all that to say this. This is not a nice guy that sits behind a desk all day long. He probably does some desk stuff, but this is not a guy that sits behind a desk all day long. This is a guy that takes over somebody's house in a captured nation, turns it into his military office, his military residence, and he holds it with the power of Rome. And not only his home, and not only where he's at, Rome was really big on building roads. So that anybody kicked up a fuss, Roman soldiers are fixing to come down that road. This is a guy that is mean and tough. Now, look at the next verse. He begs it. Here's the Roman commander begging a member of the captured people of the provinces, saying, "Lord, my servant is lying paralyzed at home, terribly tormented." It's not true that these guys were completely cold-hearted. There was somebody in this world who meant a great deal to him. This individual called simply here, "my servant." Now, who would be called to a Roman soldier, "my servant"?
Well, Martin really stayed with him all the time, takes care of his.
Except for this guy's superior officers, the Roman governor said, or a tribune or something like that. No, everyone would be considered my servant. This could be a member of his household staff. This could be the guy that got him up in the morning. This could be the guy that cooked for him. This could be the guy that shined his armor. This could also be any amount of his military staff. It could be a second in command. I mean, if Julius Caesar, who was Julius Caesar's second in command doing all his campaigns? Y'all remember? I do, because I had to teach it about a month ago, but who was Julius Caesar's second in command? Oh, remember?
Brutus?
No, that was actually his murderer and his friend.
Mark Anthony.
Mark Antony. Very good, Maria.
Yay.
It was Mark Antony. Mark Antony was a brilliant general. I mean, he's a brilliant commander. And yet, Julius Caesar, as the general, he could call Mark Antony servant, which means he could call who else servant? Just about anyone. Okay? So this could be anyone. Somebody means a great deal to this guy. He is at home. He's lying paralyzed at home, terribly tormented. He's sick. And Jesus says, I will come and heal him. The guy says, no. Lord, I'm not worthy for you to come under my roof. Why would he say that? I'm not worthy for you to come under my roof. And remember, this is a Roman commander talking.
The governor remembers that a lot of them are Jews, so they were allowed to have Gentiles inside their house.
That's what it looks like, and that's what I kind of think it is. But just think of what that is. This guy, when he gets up in the morning, unless the Roman governor is there, which in Capernaum he's probably not going to be, he's the most powerful man that he can see. Everywhere he goes, he's the absolute most powerful individual where he can see. First of all, he's begged Jesus. Okay? Now he says, I'm not worthy for you to come into my house. It is true. The Jews made a rule. You could not go into a Gentile's house. However, if this guy showed up at the high priest's house and said, I want you to come to my house for a minute, I got to talk to you, the high priest would more than likely go. And he would do whatever he needed to do to make people happy when he got back. But you're not going to say no to this guy. This guy says, no, I'm not worthy. I am a Gentile. I know what your people think about us. But all I'm asking is that you say the word. You can command that this can happen. He said, look, I got authority too. If I say to one individual, go, he goes. And if I say to another individual, come, he comes. And he better. You know, and it's not to where this guy's arrogant, but what happens, and I'll go back to Jack Nicholson in a few Good Men, where he says, we follow orders, son. Because when we don't follow orders, what happens? You see the movie?
Yes.
No, he didn't say that. He says, when we don't follow orders, people die. He said, is that clear? Yes, sir. Is that clear? Crystal. You know, and all that kind of stuff. Which Jack Nicholson is a lot meaner than this guy, but he understands it. He says, but you, and I'm spending a lot of time with that, not because I want you to talk about the military, but just think of what he has recognized Jesus as being able to do. I mean, this guy can command the other guys with swords and spears and shields. What can Jesus command? He can command sickness, he can command death, he can command any of these kinds of things. He says, look, you've got the same authority. You got the same authority as I do over everybody else in this world. He said, you just you say go, you say be healed, you say whatever, it's going to happen. I know that. And Jesus is touched. You know, this is what we call an education. It's an aha moment. Somebody has finally got it. Is this the guy that you would expect to finally get it?
I would,
You would.
because of his position. You know, if you go to the wall and turn on the light, you expect it to come on
Mm-hmm.
because you've done it.
But who should be the first person to recognize this?
Oh, should be.
This is not the person that you would expect to be. I mean, who has he come in contact with already? Excuse me. All of these Jews who claim to be looking for the Messiah. Right?
They've been waiting.
And no one, he says, I have not found such faith, that great faith with anyone in Israel. This guy got it. You know what I'm reminded of? When Jesus dies, who is the only one that says, truly, this man was the Son of God? This is another centurion, or honestly, it might be the same one. You know? In fact, what was the movie? Ernest Borgnine was the centurion. And when Jesus died, Ernest Borgnine was the centurion at the cross too. So they you know, this didn't happen that way that we know of. It could have. It didn't happen that way, but oddly enough, the two people that acknowledge the same thing in different ways are Romans, not Jews. I mean, when Peter, with his Jewish education, whatever it was, and being raised as a Jew, when Jesus says, whom do you say that I am? Many months after this, in fact, over a year after this event, when he asked Peter, who do you say that I am? And Peter says, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus said, you are right. On this rock I will build our church. But when Peter says that, it's so important. That's exactly what these two centurions say too. I mean, when this guy is saying, I have the power of men to send them somewhere, I have the power of men to tell them to come to me, and whatever it is, they better do it. You have the same power over physical nature, over sickness, over death, over all this stuff. They're saying exactly the same thing. Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And then he says, look at verse 11. And I say to you that many will come from east and west. And this is what the Jews are looking for in the afterlife. They will recline at the table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. If you look at the Jews of that day, and even of today, who do they consider to be their ideal Jew? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's them. I mean, Abraham and Isaac weren't really Jews. I mean, they were the fathers of the Jews, but other people became, their descendants as well. But the Jews looked to these three guys. Remember the song we used to sing years ago? Once there were three wandering Jews. These are them. I mean, these are the big ones so far as Judaism is concerned. And what he's saying is, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob will have a lot of people at their table in the kingdom of heaven. But it ain't going to be none of y'all. But the sons of the kingdom will be thrown out to outer darkness. Who are the sons of the kingdom? The Jews. You'll be thrown away into outer darkness. He's not saying they all will, which a lot of people teach and use it for justifying anti-Semitism or stuff like that. But he's saying there's a lot of people. This guy has got more faith than all of the Jews I know of. All the children of Israel. This guy's got more faith than all the children of Israel that I know of.
Is this saying, though, with all of his sentences and with Jesus' statement, is it saying that this is a probable follower. Because he indicates faith. He hasn't seen as great as the centurion. The centurion has obviously a high esteem for Jesus, which means he had to have investigated him and come to believe. Is that what this is kind of saying, though? That he
Well,
probably was a follower?
I wouldn't even say probably. He already believes the right thing.
Exactly.
He is a follower.
And he knew he shouldn't come into his house. He knew he wasn't worthy. So he had a certain amount of guilt from Jesus's teachings, I'm guessing.
He is a follower of Jesus. Is he a correct one? I don't know. Is he doing it the correct way? And is he going to be one until the day he dies? I somewhat believe he probably will be, but it's not guaranteed. But so far as Jesus being recognized for what he is, which is what we ask people to have faith in today. In fact, when we're baptized, isn't that the question we're asked? Do you believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God? So what people are asked to have faith in is exactly what this guy has faith in. He is, after all, the King of Kings. I mean, he has all authority. And if you'll notice what is not said here, you brought up something, what is not here. Who does this, when this guy's servant gets sick, who does he go to? He goes to Jesus, right? But now think about it. He's big and tough in the Roman army, or in the legions. There's guys that are bigger and tougher than he is. I mean, the Roman governor, which is Pontius Pilate, he doesn't go to him. Okay, he doesn't go to the emperor's representatives in Caesarea. He goes to Jesus. I used to say, and until tonight, I probably won't say it after tonight because it just occurs to me. I used to say there are 2 times when we treated Jesus the way he should have been treated. When he was born, when the wise men came and worshiped him knowing who he was, whoever they were. When he came into Jerusalem and they acknowledged him as king in Matthew 25. I don't know what we call Palm Sunday and the last hour of elementary. But then, in this case, doesn't this guy treat Jesus as who he actually is? And the centurion at his death, if that's not the same one, don't they do it? And see, here's the thing. It says, well, I guess he is, there's no guessing to it. He is a follower. And in fact, more of one than anyone else that Jesus has met. Because he gets it. And Jesus' words seem to indicate he's the only one. And, there are people from the East and the West, in other words, people who are not Jews, they're not in Israel, that will sit down and have a meal in the kingdom of heaven with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I mean, this is what the Jews were looking for. They wanted to go and be wherever Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were. Said, but it's not going to be any of you, it's going to be this guy and guys like him.
Is this to kind of a reassurance that what will happen with the Gentiles later with Paul?
Yeah.
This
Most
seems
assuredly
like,
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That he's reassuring him in his words that people are going to come from around.
And then, since you brought that up, let's look at what's not here. Okay, here you have, and Jesus has kind of a different mix of people who follow him. There are some who follow him that believe he has, believe he has something to say, but then there are agents of the Sanhedrin that followed him around as well. Now, Jesus and the centurion are alone. The crowds are with him. Most of them are, predominantly all of them are Jews. When Jesus says, I say to you that many will come from the east and west and recline at the table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. The sons of the kingdom will be thrown in the outer darkness, in that place they'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth. How do you think, because it's what you think is what we're talking about, how do you think that set with the Jews that were there? Especially the spies for the Sanhedrin.
Didn't sit with them very well.
Oh, I imagine they got mad. Because after all they had was this thing, at least we're Jews, we're children of Abraham. That's brought up several times in Jesus' speech. We're children of Abraham. At least we're Jews. But now he's looking at this Roman and saying that in the afterlife, he's going to be with Abraham. I mean, it's kind of their idea that Abraham wasn't going to mess with these nasty Gentile people. And now Jesus is saying, this guy's better than we are. And we're children of Abraham. And he brings that up. He said, the sons of the kingdom, the people who are actual Jews, some of them, they're going to be thrown out. I don't know if we ever look at this passage as big as it actually is. Because this guy is recognizing who Jesus is, and this guy is recognizing what Jesus is. And he, without any hesitation, he understands that this guy can heal. Now, does he do that because he just saw Jesus heal this guy from leprosy right before? I don't know. It doesn't matter. That's the reason Jesus healed the guy from leprosy or healed anybody, to show who he was. But this guy understands who Jesus is, and he's one of a very, very, very few who do. And this is not the guy that you would expect to be one of the first people to accept Jesus as the king. But he does. Why does he? Because he's not an idiot. That's what I tend to believe about both of these centurions. They recognize the thing that's right in front of their eyes and go ahead and say it.
Open-minded.
The what?
They're open-minded.
Yeah, I mean, they just look at it and say, oh, well, that's it. He's it. He is a God. He is divine. He's better than we are. And these centurions, when they walk, they're the most powerful thing there is that they can see, no matter where they go. I've never experienced that much. But they have. And they knew it. And these guys, I mean, they're used to thinking on the fly. They're used to opening up their eyes, seeing what the truth is, and devising a battle plan and battle, and changing it as they go, as they see things that happen. This guy loves to say, this is it. Now, could he have heard Jesus teach before? He may have been a part of the Sermon on the Mount. He may have been a part of all of that stuff. He may have seen this guy get healed of leprosy. And there's an old saying we used to have in the mountains that kind of applies here. Why does this guy believe? Makes no sense to say pigs can't fly when you see them catching sparrows in the air. But now, religiously, I've met people who will deny what's right in front of their eyes. And these Jews did too. Well, and you still got a whole bunch of people that are supposed to be looking for the Messiah. You still got a whole bunch of people saying stuff like, well, I don't know, let's see what else he does and let's make up our decision and, let me hold judgment on that, This guy looks at it and sees it's not up for debate, it's obvious. Jesus said to the centurion, go and it shall be done for you as you have believed. And the servant was healed that very moment. Um, this is powerful. I mean, this is a big thing. All right, I'm gonna quit here. We're not even done with this, probably not halfway, but,
Who are they that will throw them outside?
the what?
Who are they that will throw the other ones outside?
I don't know.
The residents. It says they will be thrown outside.
Yeah, the sons of the kingdom will be thrown out, the outer
They,
darkness.
who will throw them out? Has there ever been an inclination of that?
I'm gonna have to guess.
So nothing directly.
There's nothing here that says who they are.
Yeah.
I would guess those people who allow people in and we don't, I mean, the idea of heaven, Jesus uses this again with Abraham, the rich man and Lazarus,
Mhm.
and with a table and eating a meal together. In those cases, it's the angels and people that let people in. So far as the illustration he's bringing here, there was eating and there was eating, but there were people at the door to check to see if you were supposed to be there or not. And if you weren't allowed in. And if you somehow got in and you weren't supposed to be there, those people would come in and take you out and throw you out. So it's not so much the idea of who it is.
I just wondered if it said anywhere.
Nothing on
But
that.
I didn't know.
It is an angel, basically in Rich Man and Lazarus story, but it's whoever's at the door, they're gonna throw you out. I hate to use this, but it's kind of like the bouncer at the bar.
That's what I was thinking. But I was thinking of the Garden of Eden too, because he placed them with swords too.
It was, yeah.
So they were guards with swords, bouncers.
But what you should get out of that is if you're not supposed to be there, you come in, you can sneak in somehow, you're gonna get thrown out. So, all right, we'll quit there. What's your invitation song again?
Number 17.
17. All right, number 17. Just had it, flip right past it. All right, and maybe there is some electronically or here that need to respond. If you do, we come this together, we stand. As we sing.
Almost persuaded now to believe, almost persuaded Christ to receive. Seems now some soul to say, go Spirit, go thy way. Some more convenient day, on thee I'll call.
Shall we pray? Almighty God and Father of all, we thank you for this day. Thank you for all of your blessings. We pray your blessings upon our gatherings. We ask, Heavenly Father, this has been done wholly for us with your will. We continue to care for us and forgive us when we sin. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. A couple of things, actually not a couple of things. We do have a meeting and I haven't made a calendar yet. I will try to get that done by Sunday. Kind of a hectic week and last week too. Donna's supposed to be feeling better. She's not doing too good right now, so just be in prayer for her still. As far as we know, we're still on target for the 17th. She has her procedure, maybe here the 16th. Is there anything else we need to talk about? Okay. We're done. Good to have you with us tonight, Maria.
Good night, love. Bye, good night. Bye, love.
Have a good day tomorrow.
Yes, thank you too. Bye-bye, take care.
You too.
Bye. I'm gonna make it too. I'll go in.
And that seems like I've been whooped with an ugly stick.
Oh.
Do you want one?